Okay, so this is the Honda EU7000is generator. We use it to power the Airstream. It's a variable speed generator, so it comes with a special circuit that allows the generator to run at slower speeds when you're not pulling as much power, so it keeps it quieter. It's a 7,000 watt generator for peak load, around 6,000 watts continuous. The Airstream, in its full absolute most power it could pull, is 12,000 watts. So it won't run everything on the Airstream, but it's enough to run the air conditioners, the microwave oven, a couple of other appliances like TVs, no problem. Since we live here in Arizona, running both of the air conditioners, it turns out that it's actually been very important for us as a feature of camping in the desert. Now we're going to talk about how to connect power between the Airstream and this generator. This is a 50 amp RV connector that comes with the Airstream, and you can see that it has a neutral pin, ground, and 2 phases. So the Airstream hooked up to shore power can pull 50 amps through each phase. You can see on the front of the generator there's nowhere to put it. So you have to buy an adapter, and this is the adapter. This is called an L1430 to a 1450, and the L1430 plugs in here to this adapter, and it turns very slightly to prevent the connector from pulling out of the Airstream or out of the generator. This is a 2-phase adapter, and so you can see down here on our stage selector, we've selected 240 volts. If you're not an electrical engineer, it's okay, but this gives you 2 phases, a neutral and a ground. So once you plug into this adapter here, then you can plug in your 1450 like so. As I mentioned earlier, this generator can only produce a maximum of 7,000 watts, and the generator can pull quite a bit more than that. The Airstream can pull quite a bit more than that. So you can't run everything on the Airstream, but you can run almost everything on the Airstream.
Now, just to let everybody know, Emily is an electrical engineer.
So we're going to do a walkthrough on the control panel for the generator. The generator comes with an electric start, which is absolutely wonderful. And you can start it by turning on the key. There's a panel here. You can switch between various modes by pressing the button. It will tell you information about what the present RPMs are, how much power you're pulling, and what the runtime is of the generator. The service manual says you should change the oil. I think it's every 100 hours.
Okay.
So if you pay attention to that, you'll know when to change it.
So, but what is the most important thing out of those that you use?
I definitely use the hours.
The hours,
yeah. The generator, I at least try to be very good about the oil changes. This thing does a lot of work, so
yeah.
I pay attention to that. The next thing we have here is a couple of bad indicators. So you have an output alarm that if you overload the generator, that will turn red. You'll notice because there won't be any power in the Airstream. So you have to come out to reset it. You have to turn the generator off and back on.
So now, is it always like, does it always have a light on, or is it only red when it is?
That's a good question. So the overload alarm is not on unless you overload the generator, at which time this guy turns red.
Okay.
Normally during a normal run, I'll demonstrate.
Okay.
The output indicator will turn green. So some other features we have here is what's called the stage selector that controls which of these outputs we use. We use the 240 volt output to provide 2 phases, as much power as we can to the Airstream. These connectors are for what's called parallel operation. You can gang together more than one generator. Honda will even allow you to gang together different kinds. So you can use a smaller 2,000 watt generator, combine it with this one, you know, and then you have a 9,000 watt generator. Pretty amazing.
And how much you think it would take to actually completely power everything on the Airstream?
Well, the Airstream's it's rated at 12,000 watts. I've never tried turning every single thing in the Airstream on. I suspect it probably doesn't pull quite that much, but you know, I think 12,000 is the electric water heater, all the air conditioners, the lights. That, you know, we don't normally do that. So
Okay.
You do have some standard 20 and 30 amp adapters. The only time I use those is on rare occasion, you know, when I'm working on the truck and I need you know, power to something like the compressor.
Not when you're, you know, working on the road outside with your laptop?
I don't typically do that. The Airstream has 200 watts of solar, which is usually sufficient for me to do, you know, normal work laptop stuff. If I am going to work on the laptop out in front of the Airstream in a chair or something, usually the generator is going to be 30, 40 feet away from the Airstream. So it's
That'd
a
be
very
long cord.
That is a long cord. That's this cord right here, as you can see, stretches way off into the distance there.
You can kind of see it going down there.
Yeah. Now Airstream, they know what they're doing. This cable is, it's about 50 feet. Now magically, the Airstream is 30 feet. The truck is about 20. So they're no dummies. They know that often you're going to have your generator sitting in the bed of the truck. It works out exactly right. It's beautifully done. So the next control we have it's called the Eco Throttle. I'll demonstrate for you. The Eco Throttle allows the generator to run at a variable speed, and there's some inverter circuitry in here that will keep a constant output and then vary the speed of the generator based on load. It's really nice because it keeps the generator very quiet most of the time. Occasionally you don't want this feature, so I'll demonstrate what happens when you turn it off.
All right. I suppose the Eco Throttle doesn't have anything to do with sound pollution, huh?
Right. It's I've seen one or two other reviews of similar Honda generator models. There are certain cases, I don't remember them at the moment, but it can cause the generator to oscillate, and it'll go up to high and then go back down to low, then go back to high, then down to low. For certain people who are doing certain kinds of applications, power tools and such, you don't want that, and that's the case where you would turn the Eco Throttle off. But this feature is why this generator costs so much money. Yeah, the new version of this generator I looked at Amazon is running around $4,000. I bought this 2 years ago for $5,000, so they have come down in price, but that's a pretty tough. But when you're camping, you're not going to be that one that's making all the noise.
Yeah, which is nice when
yes,
camping.
it's nice to be considerate to your neighbors. We've gone by, particularly it seems the integrated generators in a lot of the RVs are incredibly loud.
Well, maybe that's why some of the neighbors play their music really loud, so that way they could try to cover up the generator.
Could be. We have a circuit breaker here that controls our two-phase adapter, and that concludes our walkthrough.
All right.
Let's talk now about servicing the generator. We have our fuel fill cap on the top. It's supposed to be a 5-gallon tank. I have found that you have to fill it all the way to the edge to really get 5 gallons. One annoyance we have noticed is if you do that and then throw the generator in the truck, it does leak. So we've learned not to do that.
Okay.
Generator's it's had a hard life. It's spent a lot of time in snow and rain and hail. And
all those fun days out in Denver.
Right up in the Rockies.
Denver in the summertime.
So we did get a little bit of rust buildup around this lip, which I try to wipe off, even though it has a nice little rubber gasket. Certainly we've never had any trouble with water getting into the fuel.
Now, would you ever have, is it possible to replace that kind of part or anything? Or
Yeah, it is. Honda power equipment stores are fairly common, and you can get a lot of these parts. So
that's good.
yeah, you have a fuel fill indicator, and I have noticed you kind of have to jiggle the generator sometimes to get the fuel indicator to be completely accurate. But
well, you know, it's I'm sure a lot of money goes into the technology of fuel gauges.
Fuel gauges, right,
Yeah.
for generators. Okay, next we're going to talk about changing oil. This is a service panel that you can open up with a flathead screwdriver. Simple quarter turn will pop open the panel.
Come around here, get a better shot.
Even though the generator has an electric start, in an emergency, if the battery goes dead, you can start it by hand. We've had unbelievable luck with this generator. That's never happened to us in 2 years. It's just goes and goes. Oil fill is here. It also has a small dipstick, and the drain plug is right here. So to drain it, you pop out this little rubber insert here and pull out the plug, and then sacrifice some sort of a capture device. So we use an old Tupperware bowl to capture it down here.
I think they sell those over at Kragen's or auto parts stores, right? Yeah, Tupperware bowls.
So we found that Walmart will take used oil quite a few places.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, you don't even have to pay. My only complaint about the oil change process is they don't actually specify in the little user's manual we receive with this generator what the torque rating is, and I've found it has to be uncomfortably tight to prevent it from leaking, even if you use Teflon tape or something. So the service manual for this generator is outrageous. It's $70 online, so I have not purchased it. But
Now that's an online version, not a printed version?
it's a printed manual.
Okay.
Yeah. Isn't that outrageous?
Is do they have like a PDF or an electronic version available?
I looked and looked. I won't say no, but I was not able to find one.
Okay.
So that frustrates me. For when you buy, for me, it was many thousands of dollars to buy this generator. You get a limp, little thin service sheet that basically talks about oil changes, and that's it. Whereas, you know, you have lots of other things to service, including fuel filters and so on. And to get that information, you have to buy the manual. So I haven't done that yet. But okay, so the final bit of service for the generator, we have another service port. Also, access through a quarter turn of a flathead screwdriver. And primarily in here, you're going to get access to the air filter, which is behind this panel. I bought the air filter and the fuel filter on Amazon, but you can get that stuff also at any Honda power store has those supplies. So, and that about concludes our walk around on service. In this test, Fred and I are going to show you how much noise the generator makes about 30 feet away. The reason we pick 30 feet is that's about the length of the Airstream power cord, and when we camp, we tend to get the generator as far from the trailer as we can, and so this will give you a representative noise level.
All right, set her up.
Okay. We're running at about 80 dB right next to the generator.
Let's pull back. So you can see here we're at 30 feet.
So according to our app, we're at about 60 dB, which it describes as normal conversation.
Which is a normal conversation is what we're having now.
We are comfortably speaking. According to Honda, at that speed, the lowest noise rating, the generator will run for 18 hours on a single tank. That's about actually what we've experienced.
That's great.
So they seem to be accurate. Another point too, generators, according to the forums and YouTube channels I've watched, tend to sprout feet. They are very, very valuable.
Alright.
So we carry a chain and a lock.
Yeah.
So when it's that far from your trailer, we generally lock it to a tree or
Yeah, I don't want that investment to go.
bye-byes.
Yeah. Granted, it's pretty heavy to get into a vehicle, but and we'll show a little bit of that a little bit later.
But it does roll, yes. Welcome to our first episode of Generator Talk.
Yes.
It's like tailgate talk, but generators.
Just with generators, yeah. And I'm sure we'll have tons of these videos.
Right,
of generator
we'll make
talk.
plenty more.
So tell me what you like about this, the Honda generator.
What we like about this generator is it's very quiet. In the eco mode, it will run for, according to Honda, about 18 hours on a single tank of fuel, which is about 5 gallons.
5 gallons.
That's about what we saw when we traveled full time. And so it's quiet, runs for quite a long time. We never had trouble getting this generator to start. And we've been from Florida all the way to the tops of the Rocky Mountains.
So no issues at altitude?
No issues at altitude, not one time. It's incredible.
Okay.
We've never had trouble with the battery. According to my reading, you can also convert this generator to propane.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not sure I would do that conversion, but we don't mind hauling around the fuel, so that's been fine. It's all been incredibly reliable. It is a 7,000 watt generator, which is more than enough to run the air conditioners on that thing. And as if you can't tell, Fred and I live in Arizona.
Yes, the desert.
And so air conditioners, as it turns out, are very important, especially Moab, as
Yeah.
an example.
Yep.
So
The whole reason to get a trailer in the first place.
that's right.
All right, so when you're, and then obviously I think it's pretty positive, you spent like times like just off the land and having to
Boondocking.
use it without any kind of hookups or anything like
Yeah,
that.
no worries at all.
All right,
It
great.
was a great generator.
Yeah. So there's got to be some bad points though.
Yes. The generator is very expensive. I don't know exactly why, but I think it might be because there's really only 2 generators on the market, Yamaha and Honda, that do this kind of quiet generator. So they know it and they priced for it. So this generator was a whopping $5,000. Now, according to Amazon, it runs around 4,000. That's going to be a huge barrier to most people.
Yeah. Have you ever seen any used online or anything like that?
I suppose there might be. I have not looked myself,
Okay.
but
That
there.
might be an option for some people, but
True.
obviously, again, you don't know exactly what you might be getting into with a used one, or
How it's been maintained.
or yeah, how they maintain
Right.
it.
Yeah. The other downside to this generator is, as you can see, it's massive. It's incredibly heavy. It's over 300 pounds. The next part of our video, we're going to show you how we load it. But in addition to being very expensive, it's very heavy. Also, we have had some trouble. Occasionally, we'll fill it to the top and then put it in the truck. And when the fuel tank is completely full, it will leak with the truck bouncing around. So we've had a little bit of trouble with that.
All right, and what about the oil changes?
Yeah, that's my other complaint. The generator doesn't come with a service manual. It comes with a flimsy consumer grade edition manual, but the service manual is $70 printed, which makes me crazy. I haven't bought it yet. But the oil changes, they're not well thought out. The oil plug kind of leaks all over the place, even though you can kind of put a bowl underneath the generator, and it doesn't tell you how much torque to apply to the drain plug, and so it feels to me unnaturally torqued and tight when you try and tighten up that drain plug. I'm always scared. I did discover, even after you've tightened it to where you think you're going to snap the bolt off, you have to start the generator and let it run for a while, and then come over and tighten it again.
Yeah.
So you using a crappy Tupperware bowl to capture your oil because that's the only thing that fits under the generator, and it gets oil everywhere. They just, considering it's a Honda, you know, that's a good brand. They didn't think that much out.
Yeah, so
not too well.
It's a little bit poor on the usability side of things.
Yes.
But overall, definitely,
I absolutely recommend this generator.
definitely a thumbs up for the
Definitely
generator.
a thumbs up. Now we're going to demonstrate how I get that 300-pound generator into that truck all by myself. Here we go. This is from a company called Spitzlift.
And there you have it.
I paid $5,000 for this generator, and all they gave me was this crappy cover. Hello. This cover costs $50 online.
Well, at least it's not 5,000.
True.